I like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Peace and safety to the hopefully elect, all the Akim scattered across the four corners, pushing his word in sincerity and in truth. This is another edition of Drop the Mic. And what I'm going to drop the mic on in this edition is what we went into at camp, going into Yahweh Shai being the smith, all right? And the heathens being that furnace, all right? That affliction, that furnace of affliction, all right? In Israel, the elect being that instrument, all right? That the Lord is bringing through the furnace of affliction, which is the fire, man. All right, and refining the elect as his instrument, man, which we showed in the lesson at camp. But I'm gonna start this off in Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 23, and we're gonna prove that point even further. So it says, "And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity." In that captivity, that's what that furnace symbolizing, that furnace of affliction, the captivity that we're currently in, all right, under Babylon, all right, the so-called white man, the Edomites, all right. So this would be considered a furnace, all right, because the Lord is taking us through the fire, all right. We're being refined and tried, all right. So it says that the whole house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, all right. We know the so-called white man is the devil, all right, the Edomites, all right, the wicked that the Bible speaks of. But Israel went into captivity because they went off against the Lord. It says because they transgress against me, all right. So it says, "Therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of the enemy." So the Lord is the one that put Israel in the furnace, all right, in that furnace of affliction, which is captivity, all right. And the current captivity that we're under right now is under Babylon, all right. So it says, well, let me look up this word hand. Let's see what it go into. It says here in the Strong's, it says power, indicating power, and that will be your horns. That's spoke of in Zechariah chapter 1 verse 18, all right, which we went into it at camp, all right. So it says, "Therefore hid I my face from them and gave them into the hand of the enemy." And so in other words, the Lord put us in that furnace, okay. And it says, "So fell they all by the sword," okay, which we know. Let's look up this word enemy here. As you can see, adversary, oppressor. It says tight place, distress, anguish, tribulation, trouble. All right. And here it says afflicted. Okay. So that will be your this captivity is the furnace, and the enemies is the one that afflict us, which is the other nations. All right. Going all the way back to Egypt. Let's get that precept. Going all the way back to Egypt. Our first captivity. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 20. And it says, "But the Lord hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day." So that's just proof that this captivity that we're currently under Babylon, the so-called white man, the Edomites, all right, is the furnace, all right. So reading on verse 24, "According to their uncleanness." So let's look up uncleanness. And it says impurities, because we're referred to as metals, all right, gold, silver, which I'm going to read the scripture in Ezekiel 22:17, where it refers to the Israelites as dross, all right, those metals being dross, having impurities, okay? And that's the purpose of the furnace, all right, the fire, all right, for those metals to be tried and those impurities to be burnt away, all right, to melt away, all right. So verse 24 says, according to their uncleanness, all right, impurities, and according to their transgressions have I, the Lord himself, done unto them, meaning put us in the furnace, all right, that furnace of affliction, man, by the other nations, all right, which we're being currently oppressed, afflicted by the so-called white man, which are the Edomites, the devil the Bible speaks of. Reading on, and hid my face from them. Verse 25, therefore, thus saith the Lord, power, now I will bring again the captivity. And as you can see, that Lord is in lowercase, referring to Yahweh Shai. All right. So Yahweh Shai. So it says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh Shai, the power. Now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, meaning he's going to bring us out of the furnace. All right. He's going to refine us. And now he's speaking about us coming out of the furnace as that instrument that Isaiah chapter 54 speaks of. All right. With all those impurities going off of us. All right. Being purified. Okay. Being tried and refined. All right. Through that furnace of affliction. So it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shai, the power. Now will I bring again the captivity of Judah, of Jacob, Salakia, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After that, they have borne their shame and all their transgressions, whereby they have transgressed against me, when they dwelt safely in the land, and none made them afraid, when I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies, when he bring us out of that furnace of affliction, which is captivity. All right. Which is captivity. So it says, and gathered them out of their enemies' land, out of the furnace. All right. And I am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations. Let's look up this word sanctified. As you can see, let's get the Strong's. It says sanctified. So it says to clean. All right. It says to purify. And that's what you do with dross metal. You have to purify it and get all the dross, all the impurities out of it. Okay. So it says purify. It also says to prepare. Going back to those mansions. Going back to those mansions that the Lord said he's preparing a place. All right. A place amongst the elect. All right. And that will be your mansions. So it says to purify, to clean, to prepare. All right. To sanctify. So it says, verse 27, when I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' land, out of the iron furnace, all right, and am sanctified, purified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am the Lord, their power, which caused them to be led into captivity. All right, which caused them to be led into the furnace of affliction. All right, the Lord being the smith. All right, among the heathen. But I have gathered them into their own land. And how's the Lord going to gather the elect, he's going to send his angels. Okay, he's going to send his holy angels. Referring to what? Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. All right. Gather them into their own land and have left none of them any more there. Verse 29. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord power. All right. And that's us being refined. Okay. Coming through the furnace. All right. Being put in the furnace. All right. By the Lord, the smith. Going through that affliction. All right. That harshness, that captivity. All right. And being brought forth out of the furnace. Sanctified, meaning purified, man. All right. Now let's get another precept. Salakia. Book of Malachi. Malachi 3 and 16. Malachi 3:16, it says, Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that taught upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in the day when I make up my Jews. All right, when the Lord bring us out of the furnace of affliction. All right, bring us through that fire. Going back to the book of Zechariah 13 and 9. All right, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Okay, so Israel, the elect, is those Jews. All right, that's going to be brought forth out of the fire, man. Okay, let's stay in this book here. Let's go up to Malachi chapter 2. It says, But who may abide the day of the coming, of his coming, referred to Yahushua, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire. Now let's look up this word refiner. We know this is referring to Yahushua. So it says refiner, goldsmith. Okay? Referring to Yahushua as the smith. All right? It says goldsmith. He is a refiner. All right? To test. To be a refiner. Refiner. All right? Goldsmith. Strong's definition, refined. Goldsmith. All right? To melt. To purge away, to try. All right? So the elect will be tried and refined through the furnace of affliction, which is captivity. All right? Which is captivity. So it says, But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire. And we know that this word goes back to goldsmith. Okay? And like a fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. The Lord himself being referred to as the smith. All right. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. All right. So this is the Lord being referred to as the smith. He's the refiner. He's the purifier. Okay. Let's get another precept. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 12. And it says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. The Lord himself being the refiner, the purifier, the smith, that goldsmith. That's referred to in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Okay? So this is playing straight to the point, showing you that the Lord himself is the refiner and the purifier of that gold, which is representative of Israel, his elect. All right, now let me get another precept in the book of Psalms, chapter 66 and verse 10. And it says, for thou, O power, hast proved us. Thou hast tried us as silver is tried. That's the Lord being the smith, the goldsmith, man. Thou broughtest us into the net. Thou layest affliction upon our loins. That's the furnace. That's the captivity. All right. Verse 12, thou hast caused men to ride over our heads and went through the fire and through the water, but thou broughtest us out into a healthy place. So the Lord, the smith, the purifier, the refiner, he's the one that put us in that furnace. And he's the one that's going to bring us out and refine us into those instruments that spoke of in Isaiah chapter 54. Let's get one last precept. And we read this at camp. Now we're going to read this without any private interpretations. All right. We're going to read this Ezekiel chapter 22 and verse 17. And it says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All right. That's that, those impurities, them impurities, man. That dross. All right. Let's look it up. Dross, usually of silver. Basically, you know that the dross mean the impurities that's on the metals. And it says all they are brass and tin and iron and lead in the midst of the furnace. All right, in the midst of Babylon, in the midst of captivity under Babylon, which is the Edomites, the so-called white man. All right, the devil. All right. In the midst of the furnace, they are even the dross of silver. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, because ye are all become dross, behold. Therefore I, the Lord himself, the refiner, the purifier, therefore I will gather you in the midst of Jerusalem as, all right, as they gather silver, brass, iron, lead, and tin. As a smith will gather these metals. The Lord said he's going to gather you. And we know that the Lord is going to send his angels. Let's get that. Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. And it says, and he shall send his angels, all right, with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other. Okay. So going back to Ezekiel, verse 19, it says, thus saith the Lord power, because ye are all become dross, referring to the Israelites. Behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem as they gather silver, brass, iron, and lead, and tin, as a smith, into the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it. All right. So the Lord says he's going to gather the Israelites, all right, as a smith, all right, because we know he's the refiner, he's the purifier, he's the goldsmith. All right. He's going to gather the Israelites in the furnace, meaning in the furnace of affliction, man, captivity, harshness, oppression. All right. To blow the fire upon it, to melt it. So will I, referring to the Lord, gather you in my anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. This is the Lord performing this act, not the heathen. Verse 21, yeah, I will gather you and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath. Okay? This is the Lord being a refiner, a purifier, all right? To sanctify us, man. And ye shall be melted in the midst thereof, as silver is melted. All right? This is not referring to nuclear missiles. This is not referring to heathens making weapons to fight against Israel or to take down other nations. This is a parable. This is metaphoric for the nation of Israel going through affliction, meaning captivity. All right, the Lord refining us and bringing forth his elect. All right, as silver is melted in the midst of the furnace. And we know that furnace is referred to the captivity. All right, the nations going back to Deuteronomy 4:20. So shall ye be melted in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, have poured out my fury upon you. All right, because this is the Lord's fury, man. All right, this captivity that we continually have to serve for going off. All right. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto her, thou art the land that is not cleansed, nor rain upon in this day of indignation. All right. So it's the Lord who's cleansing. It's the Lord who's doing the purifying. All right. It's the Lord, going back to Ezekiel 39, it's the Lord who placed us into captivity. And it's the Lord that's going to bring us out of that captivity. Okay. So I hope you brothers was edified. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.